This is Shockwave News Live. You can find me online at shockwavenews.com and on twitter.com/Shockwave News 1. Of course, also on Spreaker.com/Shockwave News and on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Shockwave News Live, and also YouTube, youtube.com/Shockwave News Live. All right, let's get into the news here. I have an interesting article from naturalnews.com. That's naturalnews.com. And the headline on the article says, Democratic mayors are seriously considering defunding police departments amid protesting or persisting riots. Okay, they're thinking about defunding the police departments. Okay, let's get into the article here just a little bit. Members of the Democratic Party, Antifa, and other rioters and demonstrators have begun calling for police departments across the country to be defunded by Democratic mayors and have responded positively to these demands. In Minneapolis, where the riots began, the city council is even considering abolishing their police department altogether. Okay, in response, members of the Republican Party have spoken out to their opposition against this move, with prominent members of Congress such as Jim Jordan, Senator Lindsey Graham, criticizing the Democratic Party for even considering such a move. Okay, and let's go on here. Any city that abolishes their police department, what effect do you believe this will have on economic development, tourism, public safety? Senator Graham said. First, Democrats wanted to defund ICE. Then they wanted to defund DHS, that's the Department of Homeland Security. Now they want to defund the police. This is how radical today's left has become, Jim Jordan said. Okay, let's stop right there for just a second, folks. What about the insanity of defunding a police department? Okay, you live in a town, let's say you live in Minneapolis, you live in Milwaukee, you live in Detroit, down here, I live in Central Florida, I'm close to Orlando. What if I live right in downtown Orlando? And they decide to defund the police department. Okay, they defund the police department. Somebody breaks in, somebody has an accident, somebody gets killed. Who the hell is going to handle this? Naturally, law enforcement or the police department. Well, if you disband them altogether, get rid of them altogether, what are you going to do? Oh, well, we'll just police ourselves. Yeah, that's not going to work out. That's the most idiotic, left-wing, extreme, liberal idea I've heard so far this year. Okay? Again, I try to stay neutral in politics. I always do. I don't take left or right sides, but it's just a idiotic idea. This is being pushed from the far left. Antifa, BLM, and different organizations, and these Democratic mayors and governors in these blue states are wanting to do this so everybody thinks that they are listening to them. So in other words, if you're the mayor of Minneapolis, the gentleman there, the very young gentleman running the city of Minneapolis, he wants to do that just for the sake of saying, oh, okay, we're with you too. Black lives matter, this matters, that matters, all lives matter. I'm just going to say this right now, all lives matter, okay? This insanity of saying one race or another race matters more than you. This is just total friggin' insanity. Stop it. You sound insane. You look insane. It's crazy when people are like, "Oh, only black lives matter. Nobody else. White lives don't matter. Blue lives don't matter. Korean lives don't matter. Asian lives don't matter. Russian lives don't matter. Hispanic lives don't matter. Only black lives matter." It's a big bunch of BS if I ever seen one myself. All lives matter. Okay, have some common sense. This is gaining traction, and it's scary if these blue blue states that are being ran by these Democratic mayors and Democratic governors. It's very, very, very scary. Should they want to do away with law enforcement? I mean, you have to think things through. People all the time, especially in this country, they always jump on the bandwagon. Again, I've been around a long time to see this. They always jump on the bandwagon. They don't have any discernment. They don't have anything, no critical thinking at all. They make these half-ass, crazy, concocted, emotional statements, hopefully to quell the crowd, and they never really think things through. If you get rid of law enforcement, who's going to be there to protect the citizens? Are they going to do it? Is government going to? Oh, well, of course not. Government's not going to do that. And if you think they're going to call up the reserve, you think they're going to call the National Guard every time that somebody gets robbed or somebody gets raped or killed or this or that. That ain't going to work. So again, you have to have somebody there to enforce the law. To not have law enforcement, you become lawless is what you do. And again, these Democratic mayors and these Democratic governors and these blue states aren't thinking things through. Again, it's just typical liberalism that they just say all this emotional big bunch of bull crap, and they don't ever really think things through. That it's like they're, I learned a long time ago, years and years ago, I mean, long time ago, back in science class, there's a cause and effect to everything in life. You do this, this will happen. You do that, that will happen. The cause and effect. Again, these liberal governors and mayors and blue states are not thinking this through. It's the most idiotic thing I've heard, and I've heard a lot of idiotic things in my 50-plus years, and this is definitely one of the top 10. So let's continue the article here where I left off. Many groups align with Antifa, Democratic Party, both have for years advocated defunding the police. The basic principle behind this is to take away money from police departments and the prison industrial complex and to reinvest those funds in community by prioritizing programs such as health, education, housing, employment, leaving them with fewer police officers to protect the communities. Those in favor of defunding the state that what the U.S. Sends on its police departments around $115 billion, according to a recent analysis. This is way too much in many cities. What they spend on the police department significantly outweighs they spend on almost anything else. I'll give you an example here. Los Angeles, for example, spends over half the city's budget on the LAPD, that's Los Angeles Police Department. Chicago spends near 40% of their budget both on, and both Atlanta and Orlando spend around 30%. City police budgets have increased dramatically since the 1990s after the former Democratic President Bill Clinton signed the crime bill in 1994. It's completely ridiculous. It just goes on and on and on. They don't realize, and again, these people running these blue states don't realize crime has not only significantly rose, crime has gotten worse and worse and worse. They don't seem to realize that ever. And there's no common sense. It's just crazy. Then the president writes, radical left Democrats, the new theme is to defund the police. Remember that when you don't want a crime, especially against you and your family, this is where Sleepy Joe is being dragged by the socialists. I'm in complete opposite. More money, law enforcement, law and order. That's the hashtag President Trump wrote. Again, this is in response to the riots surrounding the death of George Floyd, in the controversy of George Floyd. Unfortunately, the Democratic-controlled cities have already folded to the demands of the demonstrators. So again, these demonstrators, Antifa, BLM, Black Lives Matter, are pushing these governors by the riots and looting and crazy crap, all the destruction they're doing, scaring the hell out of them. So the governors and the mayors are saying, okay, we'll defund the police department. We'll give in. We'll buckle under the pressure, rather than standing up to these friggin' thugs and saying, no, we're not going to give in to your crazy, ludicrous, big bunch of insanity. We're not going to defund the police department. On Wednesday, Democratic Mayor Eric Garcetti announced, as part of a broad wave of spending cuts, the country's second most populous city will be cutting their $3 billion police budget up to 5%, or $150 million, with a goal of reinvesting that money in health, education, employment, and healing. So again, this is Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles, giving into the demands, the second largest city in the United States, giving into the demands of Antifa and BLM, just because he wants everybody to feel good, just because he wants to cater to these organizations. They scared the hell out of him, and he doesn't know what to do. So again, just like all Democrats that are out there, that are in public office, when they get scared, they panic. They don't listen to their rational self-conscious. They don't seem to have any conscience or consciousness. They don't listen to that. What they do is they just panic, and the first thing that looks good, acts good, and feels good, they end up doing. And unfortunately, this is a prime example. We'll probably start to see crime go up in a few months as they actually push this insanity, wanting to defund police departments and law enforcement all around the United States, at least in these blue states. Okay, this is ShockwaveNewsLive.com. You can find me on Anchor. That's anchor.fm/Shockwave News, Twitter.com/Shockwave News 1, and on my website at ShockwaveNews.com. Also on Spreaker, that's Spreaker.com/Shockwave News. Like, share, subscribe if you like this podcast. This is Shockwave News, and I am signing off. Have a good day. See ya.